Hello, on to 4.8, and we're going to look at loans today. Now, we kind of started loans last day when we were talking about credit cards. In a sense, a credit card is a type of loan. A loan allows you to borrow a specified sum of money from a financial institution and to repay it over a period of time. And that period of time is called the amortization period. This word's going to come up a fair bit, especially next day when we talk about mortgages. Mortgages, which are a type of loan, but I'm going to save those ones for next day, so you won't see those discussed today. So, sometimes in life you need to buy big purchases and you don't have enough money. Maybe you need to buy a car, a new bike, a house, something like that. And so you might need to take out a loan. You got to be 18 years or older, so some of you are getting close. But your financial institution is going to consider your debt, your assets. Assets are things of value that you have, right? Your job stability, and your credit rating. We talked about your credit rating last time. So, you walk into a financial institution on your 18th birthday, you probably are going to have a hard time getting a loan. But once you've got a few assets, you've been working for a while, you start building up your credit rating, maybe get a credit card and build up that credit rating, then you could be looking at getting a loan. You will have to pay back the principal, of course. That's the amount you borrowed. And of course, as well, you need to pay back the interest. Now, I quickly want to talk about two types of interest here. There's fixed interest and there's variable interest. So fixed interest is just that. It's fixed at a certain amount. It doesn't change. And then variable interest can go up or down. And what that will depend on is the prime lending rate. The prime lending rate is beyond the scope of our course, but basically it's something set by the Bank of Canada. It's currently 2.45%. So if you get a fixed loan, a fixed interest loan, it's probably going to be, well, it will be right now higher than 2.45%. Let's say right now you could get one for 4%. So, at first that seems, why would anyone get a fixed loan? It's higher than the variable. But the key is variable means variation. It could change. If some strange things happened in our world and the economy, then it's possible that you'd be locked in to this loan. It's variable, but you got to pay it. You have to honor it. And this 2.45 could suddenly be 4.45 or 5.45 or 6 or something. So, it doesn't happen very often, but it is a risk you take. All right, now I want to talk about a few different types of loans. So one type of loan is a secured loan. There's also unsecured loan, so we'll discuss both of those together. A secured loan is when the borrower, that's the person obviously who's borrowing the money, has promised to turn over collateral. We've got all sorts of keywords here. Collateral is something of value. It's like an asset, right? So it could be a car, it could be a certain property that you own. They promise to turn over the collateral if they default. Default means if they fail to repay on the loan. So, you go in and you take out your loan for $2,000 and you make a promise, it's all in writing and everything. If I fail to pay back the loan with the interest in a certain amount of time, in the amortization period, then you can come and take my car from me. So, that sounds a bit scary, but if you're super confident you're going to pay it back, the good thing about having a secured loan is you get a lower interest rate. With an unsecured loan, the good thing, I suppose, is you have nothing of collateral that you're going to have to turn over. The bad news is they're going to charge you a higher interest rate. All right, payday loan. Ugh, do not do this if at all possible. You've heard of these. They usually have cheesy names like Mr. Payday Loan or Money or Money Tree or Cash Money or something like this. Bad names and bad loans. Okay, there's small amounts. They're up to $1,500 at the most. They're short term, less than 62 days or less. You have to get it all paid back in 62 days. With very high interest rates. We're talking like it can be up to 500% or more. You would not want to use a payday loan unless you know, okay, I know that I need to get a little bit of money until my next payday, so I'm going to use the payday loan and then that's it. I'm going to pay it back 100%, I'll pay it back and I won't use it again. But if you're in this situation, you're like, oh, I hope I'll be able to pay back this loan, this payday loan, do not do it. It's a terrible way to get trapped into paying lots and lots and lots of interest and just basically throwing money away. Okay, a student loan, very good option for you if you need to. Some of you are going to have your tuition paid for by parents or RESPs, which we'll talk about in a couple days. But if you need to take out a loan, you would definitely want to look into getting a student loan when you go to college or university. It's a type of unsecured loan, so remember that means you don't have to put up any collateral. And I said that with unsecured, you usually had high interest rates. That's not the case with student loans. It's not really that high, which is nice. And the intention is to cover your tuition. In fact, you can only get the student loan if you or can prove that you're paying a tuition at a college, university, trade school, something like that. So you don't get to go in and declare how much money that you want. I mean, I suppose you can make a request, but the government actually determines the amount that they'll give you. They take a look at how much tuition you're paying. They take a look at your family situation. If both your parents are doctors and you're only paying $1,000 tuition this semester, you go in and ask for $10,000, you're not getting that. And while you're in school, as long as you're a full-time student, you don't have, even part-time, I believe, you don't need to pay anything back. You don't get charged any interest. That's a great deal. But payback is coming, right? There's always a time you got to pay things back, and it will be after you graduate. It usually starts a few months. The best I could figure out, it's about 6 months right now, that you have a grace period. So start working, start making money, and then you'll start paying your interest back and the principal down as well after 6 months of graduation. The interest rate is relatively low. So if you can avoid student loans, great. But if you do need to borrow money while you're in school, a student loan is a good way to do it. All right, a line of credit. This is an approved loan amount that you can draw on as needed with interest charged only on the money used. So you can use as much or as little of the money as you want. So let's say you go and you get a line of credit for $10,000. And then you sign all the paperwork, etc. You walk out of the bank, and you don't use any of the money yet. You just kind of know it's there waiting. That's great. You're not getting charged any interest. You could leave it there for years and just have it kind of like an emergency pot of money for you, and if you never touch it, you're never charged interest. But then let's say one day there's a terrible flood at your house, you got to redo the roof or something, and you need $4,000. So you go to your line of credit and you take out $4,000 and you spend it. Okay, now you're getting charged your interest, and you'll get charged interest as long as you haven't paid back the $4,000. As soon as you do, then you're not paying interest again. So these are usually variable interest rates. So the good thing is that the interest rates are usually lower than credit cards or personal loans, but because they're variable, remember, they can go up in certain situations. Not common, not likely, but it is a little bit of a risk. All right, finally, overdraft protection. This one again falls in the not so great category, I would say. Maybe not as bad as payday loan, but also you don't want to rely on this too much. So we've talked about overdraft before, I think. An overdraft is when you try to take money out of your account, your bank account, that actually isn't there. It's common with checks. If someone writes a check for more than they have in their account, they get charged an overdraft fee. And that can be pretty hefty, like $45 or something like that. So, one way you can protect against that overdraft fee is to have overdraft protection. It's an agreement with a bank that allows you to withdraw more money from an account than you have in it, up to a specified amount. I think when you first go in and ask for one of these overdraft protection, it might be something like $500 or something. So again, what that means is if you go to the grocery store and you spend $300 even though you only had $100 in the bank, it's not going to be a problem per se. You're not going to get refused at the grocery store, which can be embarrassing. If you write a check, it's not going to bounce, right? You'll still be able to have that check cashed, and you won't be charged the $43 or $45 or whatever it is for non-sufficient funds for the check. But the thing that's not so good about it is there's often a fee and high interest. So once you use your overdraft, let's say you had $100 in the bank and you went out and charged $200 on your debit card, so you now have $100 in the hole, right? $100 in debt, an overdraft of $100. You're now getting charged high interest, usually higher than credit card interest, so like in the 20%, and you often have a fee as well, maybe $5 or $10 added on as well. And you need to pay that off quickly, because if you stay in that negative balance too long, they can cancel your account. You can only stay in the negative balance for a month or two, and then they'll cancel your account. So overdraft protection and payday loans, try to avoid those as much as possible. Line of credit, student loans, secured loans, these are all better options. Okay, a few questions here. Jesse requires a personal loan of $10,000 for home renovations. His credit union offers him a 3-year loan at a fixed rate of 8.25%. How much must Jesse pay the credit union each month? How much will he pay for the loan in total? And how much interest will he have paid after 3 years? All right, for the first part of this question, where it talks about how much must he pay for the credit union each month, we need to get the monthly payment, right? That's what it's asking us, is how much is Jesse going to have to pay each month? It turns out there's tables that will help you with this. There's one in your workbook, which I'll help you find. It looks something like this. Okay, and down the left-hand column here, it has the interest rate. So our interest rate is 8.25%. So if we go down to 8.25, I'll just highlight this whole row right here. So it's going to be in here, the monthly payment. So then we go back and we want to know how many years was the loan for. It was for 3 years. So we go back here. 3 is in this column here. So we go down this column until we get here, and we get our answer, which is 31.45 right there. That's how much he owes. But wait a minute. It's 31.45 per $1,000. Every $1,000 that he borrows, he needs to pay $31.45 a month. How much did he borrow? $10,000. So remember, for every $10,000, he owed $31.45, and he has $10,000, so he needs 10 to pay 10 of these, or $314.50 is how much he'll pay every single month. Second question, how much will he pay for the whole loan? Well, if it takes 3 years, we need to figure out how many months that is. 3 years, each year is 12 months, so a total of 36 months. Okay, what do we got here? This is his payment per month, $314.50 per month, and he has to pay this 36 times. In other words, to get the total cost, we need to multiply 36 months times how much he's paying every single month, and we'll get our answer. And we get $11,322 is his total cost. So the last thing we want to know is how much interest did he pay? Well, interest, or the finance charge is the other way to talk about that, is how much more did he pay than how much the thing actually cost, or how much he borrowed. He borrowed $10,000, he paid $11,322. So how much extra did he pay? $11,322 minus the $10,000 will give us $1,322 is the amount of interest that he paid. Okay, I want to quickly show you how you can also use online calculators for this. So I found a calculator that looks like this, and you just enter in all the data up here. So the loan amount for us was $10,000. You're going to see everything changes as I start doing it. It's just actively changing everything. The number of years was 3 years, so I changed this to 3. The interest rate was 8.25. And the start date we can just leave right now. And you get these answers here. It doesn't look quite the same, does it? Look, it's by year. We want to know by month. We were doing monthly payments. So click month here, and it'll give you every month how much you have to pay. It shows you that you're going to pay $314.52 per month. Wait a minute, we said $314.50. This is just a little more accurate, right? They didn't want to put as many decimal points in our table in your workbook, but for all intents and purposes, it's almost the same thing. So here's your total from the 36 payments, $11,322.66. We had $11,322. We didn't have the 66 cents. That's just because that extra 2 cents that was here. Total interest paid, $1,322.66. We're just short the 66 cents. That's not bad at all. And you can even see in this chart here, it shows you where you stand after every month, and you should end up with 0 down here, and absolutely, you'll have it paid off in 3 years' time. So this is a very useful calculator. You can find these online all over the place. I'm okay totally if you want to use something like that as well. Okay? Next, Payday Loan Store. Oh gosh, Payday Loan Store, terrible, terrible. Charged Matt $40 interest on a $350 loan. Matt paid the store back the total amount of $390 after 10 days. You understand where $390 came from? 40 plus $350, that's how much Matt owes, and he paid it back in 10 days. So he paid $40 interest in 10 days. We want to know what's the daily interest rate. Okay, let's use our simple interest formula. I equals P times R times T. Do we know the interest? Yeah, we do know the interest. It says right there, $40 interest. Do we know the principal? Yep, the principal was $350. That's how much he borrowed. Do we know the interest rate? Nope, that's what we're trying to find. Do we know the time, the t? Yeah, we do. It's 10. Now, usually we said that time should always be in years, and we could switch that to years. That'll give us the second answer. But if we want to know the daily interest rate, let's just leave it like this, right? 10 days. We just need to remember, though, this is days, not years. All right, so on the right-hand side, we can multiply. So we get 350 times 10 is 3,500 times the r. And then the last thing we do is we divide by 3,500. Divide this side by 3,500, it cancels, and divide this side by 3,500, and you will end up with r equals 40 divided by 3,500 is 0.0114. But wait a minute. When we talk about our percents, remember when we use this formula, it gives us a decimal. We want to change it into a percent. How do you do that? You multiply by 100 or move this over 2 spots. So you move it over 2 spots and you end up with your interest rate of 1.14%. Hey, that's not bad. 1.14, that's pretty low, right? Wait a minute. That is our daily interest rate. So it's 1.14% daily. What if we want to know the yearly? Well, how many days are there in a year? 365. We need to take that 1.14 and we need to multiply it by 365. And if you do that, you get an appalling answer. You get 416.1% yearly. That is absolutely criminal. This is why you want to avoid payday loans. Yes, it's only $40, but in terms of percent, it's awful. Do anything else possible besides payday loans. All right, Nicholas is paying his $18,900 student loan. The interest rate is 3.2% per year. Hey, pretty good. It's compounded daily and payable monthly. In his first payment, Nicholas will pay the interest owing as well as an extra $300 of the principal. How much is his first payment? Okay, so it looks like we're talking about compound interest here. It says right here compounded. So let's use our compound interest formula. A equals P, 1 plus R divided by N, raised to the n times t. So, do we know the A amount here? No, we don't. Do we know the principal? Do we know how much he borrowed? Absolutely, $18,900. 1 plus, do we have an interest rate? Yep, right there, 3.2%. But remember, we've got to change it into a decimal, so move it over 2 spots. You get 0.032 divided by, okay, n. Remember what n is? It's how many times it's compounded. It's compounded daily. So how many times is it compounded in a year then? If it's compounded daily, 365 times. We have another n here, 365 times t, which is time. Okay, now this is a little tricky. What's the time? Well, it says it's payable monthly. So his first payment is after a month. So what we have to do is put in this space here how much time a month is. Well, a month is either, I guess, 28 or 30 or 31. It doesn't really give us enough information. But let's call the month 30 days. Wait a minute, though. We want our time to be in years. So if it's 30 days, how much of a year is that? It's 30 out of 365. And look what happens here. It's very nice. You have this multiplied by this. You can cancel out that 365 and that 365. You're just left with 30 up there. Very nice indeed. Okay, now you can go to use your calculator to get this answer. So you can do this all in one go. Just make sure you use some brackets here. So I'll use my Desmos calculator again. 18,900. Open the bracket. 1 plus 0.032 divided by 365. Remember, I move over a little bit before I close the bracket, and I want to raise that, that's that A to the B button, to the 30th power, and here's my answer, 18,949 and 77 cents. Okay, so this tells us how much he now owes after that first month. But is he paying all that? No, he's not. It says he's going to pay the interest owing. So the first thing we have to do is figure out how much interest he owes at this point. Well, this is the final amount. Remember how to get the interest? To get the interest, we take the final amount and we subtract the principal. In other words, we take our $18,949.77 and we subtract the principal, which was $18,900, and it means he is paying an interest amount of $49.77. But wait a minute, it also says, wise man, he's going to try to pay some of the principal too. There's no point in just paying interest. You got to pay off the principal as well. So he's also going to pay an extra $300. And that will give us our final answer. Nicholas is going to be paying $349.77. And there you go. All right, everyone. That's all about loans. Next day, we'll continue on with another loan, the biggest loan of all, the mortgage.